Welcome back, everybody, for our Friday deep dive.
Yes, indeed.
And, we usually spend this time exploring some corner of science or history or culture.
Yeah.
But today, we are diving headfirst into a breaking news story that has the potential to reshape global politics as we know it.
Yeah, the International Criminal Court.
Mm-hmm.
We think of them as dealing with far-off conflicts and dictators.
Right.
They've just issued arrest warrants for some very high-profile individuals, including the current Prime Minister of Israel.
This is huge.
It's big.
We're talking about Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's Prime Minister, Yoav Gallant, the former defense minister, and Ibrahim al-Masri, a senior leader of Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
The ICC is alleging that serious crimes were committed during the recent conflict between Israel and Hamas.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah.
See, the ICC typically focuses on cases where countries can't or won't prosecute their own leaders.
Right.
Israel has a robust legal system.
Right.
So the fact that the ICC is stepping in here is incredibly significant.
It's almost like they're saying, look, regardless of who you are or what your country's legal system looks like, we're watching, and we're willing to hold anyone accountable for crimes against humanity.
Precisely. And to make matters even more complex, the ICC doesn't have its own police force.
Right.
They rely on their 124 member states to actually enforce these warrants.
So imagine this.
Yeah.
Netanyahu decides to visit, let's say, Germany.
Okay.
Germany, being a member of the ICC, would be legally obligated to arrest him and hand him over to The Hague.
It puts these countries in an incredibly difficult position.
Yeah.
Do they uphold their commitment to international law and risk damaging relations with a key ally?
Right.
Or do they find a way to sidestep their obligations to the ICC?
The global reaction has been, well, let's just say mixed.
To put it mildly, Israel's President Isaac Herzog has called it a dark day for justice and humanity. Netanyahu himself has claimed the decision is fueled by anti-Semitic hatred of Israel.
The United States, a staunch ally of Israel, but not a member of the ICC, has also condemned the warrants.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you have countries like Jordan welcoming the ICC's decision, seeing it as a step towards accountability for the suffering in Gaza.
This is a case with profound geopolitical implications.
Yeah.
It's forcing countries to confront some uncomfortable questions about their alliances, their commitment to international law, and their own definitions of justice.
Now, before we get into how this might play out on the world stage, let's take a step back and unpack the specific allegations that led to these warrants.
The ICC judges seem particularly concerned about the plight of children in the Gaza Strip during the recent conflict.
Right.
Reports of children dying from hunger, malnutrition, and lack of water, potentially, as a result of actions taken by both sides, appear to have heavily influenced their decision.
It's a sobering reminder of the human cost of conflict and the profound responsibility those in power have to protect civilians.
Yes.
Especially the most vulnerable.
And it raises a crucial question.
Okay.
What evidence does the ICC have to support these allegations?
Right.
We know they don't issue warrants lightly, but understanding the basis of their accusations is essential to grasping the gravity of this situation.
All right, so let's dive into that next. We'll examine the specific charges, explore what evidence the ICC might be relying on, and consider what this could mean for the individuals involved, and maybe even for the future of international justice itself.
Sounds good. To really grasp the weight of these warrants against Netanyahu and the others, it's helpful to look back at some of the ICC's past cases.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This isn't the first time they've gone after high-profile figures, but I'm curious, are there any historical parallels that shed light on what might happen here?
Well, the ICC is relatively young, established in 2002.
Right.
But it's already tackled some significant cases.
Okay.
For instance, there's Thomas Lubanga Diallo from the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Oh, yeah.
He was the very first person convicted by the ICC back in 2012.
Yes, I remember that case. It involved the use of child soldiers, a truly horrifying crime.
Exactly. Lubanga's conviction sent a powerful message that those who exploit children in war would face consequences. Then there was Jean-Pierre Bemba, a prominent figure in the Central African Republic.
He was a warlord, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
His trial really brought the atrocities happening in that region to the forefront of international attention.
Indeed. These cases, though geographically diverse,
Yeah.
highlight a pattern.
Okay.
The ICC steps in when national governments are either unable or unwilling to prosecute those responsible for grave crimes.
So in a way, the ICC acts as a check on national sovereignty,
Exactly.
ensuring that even powerful individuals aren't above the law.
Precisely. And it's not just individuals.
Okay.
The ICC has also launched investigations into entire situations in conflict. Take the Darfur conflict in Sudan, for example.
The violence there has been devastating, lasting for years. I imagine gathering evidence in such a complex and volatile environment must be incredibly challenging.
Absolutely. The ICC has faced numerous obstacles in Darfur, but their presence remains crucial for seeking justice for the victims. Similarly, they've been investigating the situation in Libya since the 2011 uprising,
Right.
aiming to hold perpetrators of crimes against humanity accountable.
And let's not forget the investigations into the post-election violence in Kenya back in 2007 and 2008. It seems like the ICC is willing to take on cases regardless of political sensitivities.
Indeed, these examples demonstrate the ICC's global reach and commitment to addressing complex human rights abuses. It shows that no matter where these crimes occur, the ICC is striving to create a system where perpetrators can't simply hide behind national borders or political influence.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The ICC's very existence challenges the traditional notions of state sovereignty and pushes the world toward a more globalized concept of justice.
Right.
But it also raises some challenging questions. I mean,
Yes.
who decides which situations the ICC should investigate?
Right.
And what happens when powerful nations like the United States refuse to cooperate?
Those are excellent questions and highlight the inherent complexities and limitations the ICC faces. It's a relatively new institution still navigating its place on the world stage. It must balance its mandate to uphold international law with the realities of geopolitics and often conflicting national interests.
I guess that brings us back to Netanyahu and these arrest warrants. What does this case, perhaps more than any other, tell us about the ICC's true influence and potential impact on the world?
This case is a pivotal moment for the ICC. It will truly test its legitimacy and influence on the global stage.
It raises the stakes, doesn't it? It's not just about individual accountability anymore. It's about the ICC's future and its ability to hold even the most powerful individuals accountable for their actions. Okay, so we've looked at the specific allegations against Netanyahu and the others, and we've examined the ICC's history and some of its most prominent cases, and we've explored the complex global reactions to these warrants. So the question on everyone's mind, what happens next?
This case has the potential to be a defining moment for the ICC, for international law, and even for the future of global politics. It's a real crossroads.
It feels like we're on the edge of something huge, but which way will things go? Will this embolden the ICC to pursue more cases against leaders of powerful nations?
That's certainly a possibility if the ICC successfully prosecutes Netanyahu or any of the other individuals named in these warrants. It could send a powerful message that no one, not even the leader of a nation like Israel, is above the law.
But on the flip side, what if the ICC backs down under pressure from powerful countries like the United States? What kind of precedent would that set?
It would be a major setback for the ICC and for the idea of international justice as a whole. It could embolden other leaders to commit atrocities, knowing that they can likely escape accountability.
And what about those European nations we discussed earlier, the ones that are caught between their support for the ICC and their close ties to Israel and the U.S.? What do you think they'll do?
It's a real dilemma for them. Do they prioritize their commitment to international law, even if it means straining diplomatic relations, or do they find a way to quietly circumvent their obligations to the ICC? Their actions in this case will be closely watched and could have ripple effects throughout the international community.
It's almost like the whole world is holding its breath, waiting to see how this unfolds. It's a reminder that these seemingly abstract concepts of international law and justice have very real-world consequences.
Exactly. This isn't just some theoretical debate happening in the halls of academia. These are decisions that impact real people's lives that shape the course of history.
So what are you watching for as this story continues to develop? What are the key things that will tell us which way the scales are tipping?
First and foremost, I'll be watching to see how the ICC itself responds to the pressure it's facing. Will they stand firm in their decision to issue these warrants, or will they start to signal a willingness to compromise?
And beyond the ICC, what about the reactions from other countries? Will we see a shift in alliances as nations choose sides in this debate?
That's another crucial factor to watch. This case has the potential to create new fault lines in global politics, to redraw the map of international relations. And of course, we can't forget about the individuals at the center of all this. How will Netanyahu and the others respond? Will they attempt to challenge the ICC's jurisdiction? Will they restrict their travel to avoid the risk of arrest?
So many moving pieces, so many unknowns. It's both fascinating and a bit unnerving, isn't it?
It certainly is. This case is a stark reminder that we live in a complex and often unpredictable world. But it's also a reminder that even in the face of immense challenges, the pursuit of justice continues.
Well, we'll be following this story closely, and we'll be sure to bring you updates as they develop. In the meantime, we encourage you to stay engaged, to keep asking questions, and to consider what this case means for the future of international law and global politics. Because, as we've seen today, these issues aren't just abstract concepts. They have the power to shape our world in profound ways.
This case has thrown a spotlight on the often hidden machinery of international justice. It's a reminder that even in a world that often feels chaotic and divided, there are institutions and individuals working to hold those in power accountable. And it's a call to action for all of us to engage with these issues, to demand justice, and to work towards a world where accountability, not impunity, is the norm.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into a story that's far from over. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the conversation going.